very happy to introduce, he's not really our state senator, but we kind of call him anyway. He's because we like him more. Mr. Randy Brogdon.
Well, I'm so glad I didn't wear a coat and tie tonight. I started to, and I thought, it is just too doggone hot, and I'm glad I didn't. Sorry you had yours on. Well, hey, Rogers County, I can tell you, is as a Senate district, it is my favorite part of my Senate district because it is full of Republicans. As a matter of fact, I don't come all the way down past Keatonville Hill. My Rogers County is up on the top side of Keatonville Hill, but all of that new area there, the registration in Rogers County is about 80% Republican, and so I love my part of my Rogers County. So I've always tried to be as active in this group as I possibly can. I've missed a few meetings this last 14 months, as you might imagine. We are traveling the state. My wife sends her regards. She's home sick tonight, and she has been fighting the sinus infection. She didn't go into work until noon, and I tried to make her stay home, and she thought she was getting better, but she got home and she was feeling lousy. So she was zonked out snoozing on the couch by the time I left. So I have an uniced chocolate cake waiting on me, so I'm hoping she feels better by the time I get home. But anyway, I know she would have liked to have been here had she been able to. So let me bring you up to date on what I'm doing, and more importantly, why I'm doing it. But Don and I have literally traveled the state for the last 15 months and sharing a very simple message that I believe sharing will have a profound impact on this state. Not only this state, but on our nation. And my mission that I'm on today is to restore and to find practical application of our founding principles that the gentleman, the judge, just talked about. You see, you're looking at a guy that still believes in limited constitutional government. I still believe in personal responsibility, and here's the big one. I believe in the expansion of freedom. And it is the limitations that have been put on our freedom and our liberty for a long time that has finally caught up with us. And folks, our freedom is truly at stake in this country today. Well, what does that have to do with the governor's race? It has everything to do with the governor's race. Because I'm convinced if we truly have an opportunity to stop dead in its tracks this abusive overreach and overbearingness of Congress, if we have a chance to take our country back, it'll be done at the state level.
Right.
When governors understand their constitutional authority, their constitutional responsibility to protect the citizens in their state, to protect the sovereignty of their state, then and only then do we truly have an opportunity to take our country back and once again participate in what we all know is this great American dream, our American birthright and its freedom. And it's at risk today. So as I've traveled the state of Oklahoma, and we've been from the furthest parts of the Panhandle to the deep southeast, way down to Little Dixie and all points in between. But folks, I can tell you, as I take this message county to county, and as I visit with people, they have the same inclination as I do. I have found Republicans and Democrats and Libertarians and Independents, they're all concerned about their freedom. There's a lot that I'd like to share with you tonight, but I'm going to just stop. I want to answer some questions if I have time to do that. Do I have time? Mm-hmm. But I want to give you a couple more bits of information about why I'm running for governor before I open up for questions. I'm doing this for a very selfish reason. I am desperately concerned about my kids' future. I truly am. You know, my kids are in their mid-30s. They're off starting their own families, and I'm concerned that they may not have the same opportunities that I had growing up. And I figured something out a long time ago. As a matter of fact, I learned this from our founding fathers. they realized that our freedom had to be secured every single generation, and it had to be passed down to the next. Freedom is not automatic. It never has been. It never will be. And for 234 years, folks, this has worked. It's worked. But we have gotten so far off track. We have sat back and just let the politicians run rampant, do whatever they wanted to do. And now we have a mess on our hands. I don't know if you realize this or not, but the stimulus scheme from last year is financially bankrupting us. And I am appalled that we have, especially my opponent in this race, I am appalled that my opponent secretly, after voting against the earmark spending, she requested over $22 million of earmarks. Bringing home the bacon. That's what it's all about, evidently, when you're in politics. Bringing home the bacon. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned that my opponent in this race, because Bush was in charge, Bush was in control, she voted for the $800 billion bailout. Let me remind you what that bailout is all about. It was about government seizing control of private industry. General Motors, banking institutions, finance institutions. Well, that wasn't good enough. Now Obama's trying to seize control of our oil businesses. You see, socialism doesn't work. Capitalism always works. And I am just desperately concerned, folks, if we don't have the proper leadership in that governor's office, January 1. And when I say proper leadership, I'm talking about me. And I say that because I know where I stand on the issues. I know how grounded I am and how principled I am on the issues. I am diametrically 180 degrees opposed to that bailout. You see, I've been a business guy for 30 years, and the last thing I want, the last thing I expect is for government to come in and help me in my company. It is as un-American as anything I have ever seen. It violates the very simple tenets of capitalism, and I'm disturbed about it. And I got to tell you, as many problems as we have in our country today and in our state, so much.
Happy birthday
On a lighter note.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Randy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad I came now. You want me to blow these out?
You
before
might
today?
Make a wish.
Somebody needs to come take a picture of that.
What'd you wish for, Randy?
Yeah,
what's your wish?
Okay, come on, let's go. I wish it had Joyce made it.
Now that dude did. Wow, I'm impressed. I have no idea what I was talking about now.
diametrically opposed.
I'm diametrically opposed to so many of the policies that are in place today for the obvious reasons. Now, folks, I can tell you, there's going to be a very clear choice in this Republican primary. Now, I got to tell you something. Mary is a friend of mine, okay? Mary is a friend of mine. I served with her for my first 2 years in the Senate. I actually count her as my friend. She happens to be a Republican primary opponent. And the primary is the place that Republicans exchange ideas. It's when we bring out our values. It's when we talk about our vision. And so I'm bringing some of these things up tonight because I may not get to see any of you between now and the next 39 days before the primary. And so you need to know what these differences are because they're vast. If I were to